Okay, this is lesson 6, and this one's going to be on shallow space. Kind of a fun activity of building yourself a drawing and ending up with something that's creative and kind of a modern style of work. Space is one of the elements and principles of art. Space is the distance between 2 points. So if you have a dot over here and a dot over here, that distance in between, that's a space. Okay, everybody pretty much knows what that is. Another type of space is positive space. And another type is negative space. And negative space and positive space is very simple. If you have a drawing like this, a picture, and you have an object on that picture, and I've taught you how to do multiple contour drawing. Okay, you have the object. Okay, the object itself is a positive space. The area around it, the air, is the negative space. Okay, so this is negative space. So positive space and negative space, very simple terms. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to play games with space. Make the drawing an interesting drawing. Eventually I'll show you how to do space where it shows a lot of distance. For instance, I'll teach you how to do like linear perspective, where you make things look like it goes back off into the distance, mountains. You get a feeling that things are going away from you. So that's a pictorial depth, a lot of depth to it. But I'll show you how to do that at another time. We're going to keep it shallow this time. Okay. The first thing I'm going to suggest is that you get a drawing board. If you have a drawing board, you can set it up so you can do your drawing and look over the drawing board back and forth at the subject that you're going to work with. We're going to work with still life because it's simple. And I'm going to start to build a still life, and I'm going to show you some things you can do with it that will give you shallow space. Also in shallow space, you don't use traditional shading. Okay, if you want to get the feeling of depth of something, if you shade it, it has a tendency to look like it has form, and it also has more depth. So that's another type of deeper space. We're not working with that. We're talking about shallow space, very shallow space. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to set up something, and I have my handy dandy cups, anything that's around the studio, and I'm setting them up over on a board here. I have it over near the wall, and I'm using it as my still life. And I'm going to start with drawing the objects that are in my still life. And I'm going to make this cheap piece of paper here, like this. And I'm going to do a drawing of the object. So I showed you how to do multiple line contours. So first thing I notice is that I have a piece of styrofoam here, and I'm going to put that shape in, which is what I'm seeing from my, depends on height. If it's down lower, up higher, you get a different view of things. And then I'm going to draw in the cup. And drawing in the cup, you make the ellipses like this, connect the ellipses, and then you make shapes for the handle. In this case, I can see, I'm starting to see that from my view, I'm seeing the depth of that piece of styrofoam, that shape this way. And I went ahead and I drew right through that object, right through the object that's here. Next one we'll do is going to add something else. And so I'll go ahead and put, let's see, I'm drawing a bottle. I think I'll put it in front. That'll be kind of annoying. All right, and you draw the bottle. Now, to draw this wine bottle, start with this same ellipse at the bottom. Then you go up from here. And then there's another cone and an ellipse here. There's a cone here. And then there's a cylinder. I taught you this last time. It's another way of making a drawing and sketching. Makes it so that it's easier for you. And then you smooth out the lines, okay? But I want you, when you do this, I want you to leave the lines showing through. So it's like it's transparent. Also, very important is, I want you to do this in pencil. I want you to be able to erase, and I want you to be able to shade. So don't do it marker. I'm doing it with marker because it shows better on the dry erase board. Okay, let's continue on. We're going to add another thing, and I'm not going to add too many things because if I do, I won't get done with it. Okay, on this side, I decided I'm going to put in a big picture. I'm going to put that in here, and this shape comes down like this. And the shape comes down like this. Another ellipse at the bottom. Sketching in like this. That's the point of the picture in here. Put that in. Then I want something in the background. And I'm going to put in my drawing sketch pad. I'll put it back here. It's in the back. I've decided. I already put it in. Draw that in. Here's the sketch pad. Something in the background here. It has wires at the top. Okay, there's a sketch pad. I need something over on the side, so I think I'll just get a little more balance. I'll go ahead and put in the spray bottle, which I always use the spray bottle for my watercolors. It's an easy way of getting your watercolors ready, charged, get them wet. Works good. Okay, sketching in this thing. This is a spray bottle. Okay, put that in there. Okay, now I have a series of objects already drawn in, and they're overlapping each other. Because they're overlapping, the space is shallow. Okay, if I make an object, do a drawing of an object, like that, and then put another object behind it, like another taller kind of cup. If I make it so that I'm not going through the object, you can see that this is here and this is here in space. It changes space, one thing to the other. And so that's moving away from what's called the picture plane. The picture plane is the surface of the paper itself, going deeper into the painting or deeper into the drawing. Okay, so this is a way of making depth. In our case, we're trying to make shallow space, so we don't want depth. Now, I made a drawing, move along on this, a little sketch, and using multiple line contour, just a quick sketch. This is what your drawing should be, some sort of pencil drawing. Then I want to take that drawing and just take a pencil and randomly make some lines through it. It's slippery on the board here. Try to hold it steady. Make some lines through it. So it touches the edges, goes all the way across. And what's happening is it's almost like a broken window. It's going to shatter this image and make it a lot more varied, but it also is going to change its depth. As soon as I do things like this, it pushes it into a different space. It changes its space. Okay, then I want you to take an eraser. If I have one here, yes I do. Audrey's eraser. And I want you to go in here and every once in a while erase out some of the lines, okay? Just a few lines here. Where some of them are crossing each other, erase out a shape like inside here. And then you can just randomly take out a few lines so they're not all there, okay? And that will change the look of the work and give it a much more varied feeling to it. What we're trying to do is create something that is a shallow space creation that's an interesting creation. And so you can erase out different ones. And it's the one times that I actually permit you to erase. I usually tell you don't bother to erase. All right, and then I want you to go in and take your pencil and shade in the shapes. Fill them in. Okay, make some of them dark black like this. Look for another one. So here's one that's created right here, like that. Shade in some of these areas. I'm going to rush along here a little bit because I don't want to take too much time on the video. Shade in this one. And what happens is, and you can add patterns if you want to inside those things, whatever you want. It's just the idea. It'll be very creative when you do this, but it also is going to change the space. Okay. Now that one's, you see how I made a darker one, a lighter one, different values in this drawing. What's going to happen is you're going to end up with a type of art that was done at the turn of the century. I'll wipe this off. Okay, and this type of art was called Cubism, and it was going around 1900, and it went on through the 30s, and it affected a whole bunch of different styles. But the idea was based on geometry, looking for geometry in objects, and the artists like Paul Cézanne used it, and then Picasso and Georges Braque. These artists all use this method, and they took realism and they turned it into a flat kind of drawing that is not so deep. I'll show you a couple of pictures of Picasso very quickly. Okay. First thing you have to understand that Picasso, when he started, when he was like 15 years old, he painted like that. 14, 15 years old, he was already painting like this. Okay, and I'll get another one here. Okay, here's one when he was 16. Just to give you an idea. He was already painting like this at age 16. This is a large oil painting with lots of emotion already in it. So Picasso could already do realism. So he's got to find something else to do to create something that's much more interesting or keep you interested. And one of the things that Picasso collected and loved was African masks. He loved African masks. And if you look at the cover of this catalog, you can see the influence of the African mask in Picasso's work. And you can also see how flat it is. You can see how shallow space this face is. And so he invented this style of painting. So that has a lot to do with it. Other artists, there are several other artists, but I'm going to show you some more examples of Cubism. And you can see how they fractured the space. You can see how they added shading, created shapes. It's almost like it was dropped, a mirror that was dropped on the floor or something, or a pane of glass. Okay, so it's shallow space, and that's why I'm showing you this, because it is shallow space. Here's one more. There's another one you can see. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what it is you're trying to create. And you just keep working on your drawing. And you can add colors to it if you want. But the idea is to look for the shapes here, okay? And shapes are space or areas that are enclosed are shapes. Okay, so that's a diamond, that's a circle, and you can see how once it's closed, it becomes a shape. So look for shapes that are in your drawing so that you can emphasize them and shade them and just kind of develop them and see what you come up with. And also look on the internet for Paul Cézanne, Pablo Picasso, Georges Braque, any of those Cubists, and you're going to find lots and lots of examples for your work. Anyway, have fun with it. I hope you like it, and we'll see you with the next video.